All right, welcome everybody. I'm Alex Frank, host of the Locked On Bearcats podcast. On a day that, sorry, making sure microphone sounds good. This is a day that I'm sure a lot of us didn't want to see. I'm sure a lot of us didn't expect it to happen this early after the season. But Luke Fickell, according to multiple reports, it was first reported by ESPN's Pete Thamel that he was in talks to become the next Wisconsin head coach. He is now, according to multiple reports, going to a deal is done. He is going to head to Madison to be the Badgers' next head coach. And wow, this is certainly unexpected. 6 seasons, and you think about all of the um all the accomplishments that this program had under him, and you think about how long he stayed. Um, the fact that he could have left after year 3, he could have left after year 5, and he stayed for a 6th season. He stayed for the highest of highs, and he was here for the lowest of lows. He inherited a program lowest of lows. I'm gonna put this on YouTube or on Twitter that we are live. So feel free to come on in. Russ Hellman from All Bearcats and Sports Illustrated is going to try and join me. He's back in Cincinnati. He's got boots on the ground inside. On a day where, again, a lot of Bearcat fans are probably sad. I don't know if I want to say angry just yet. But it is a very, very very, very fluid situation. Multiple fans are commenting. Multiple emotions, I'm sure, running through you, me, a lot of friends of mine whom I have talked to. My mom, who's a proud Bearcat. Very, very just a day that thank you, Tyler, for your question. Who's the best candidate to replace Luke Fickell? I mean, this is something we'll talk about a lot throughout the offseason because this is a unique situation because the Bearcats are heading to the Big 12. And I think that means you can cast your net wider than if you were staying in the American. I think you can go after a young up-and-coming coordinator. I think you can, look for a name who is going to keep the recruiting momentum going. I think what you have to do is you have to continue to embrace what this culture and this team and this program has been for so long. I would look for someone. See, my first inclination is to look for someone on the defensive side because that's what this program has been about for the last few years. But at the same time, you look around college football. This Bearcats team did not score more than 28 points, 29 points in a single game through their final 7 games of the season. This was a program that scored 63, 38, and 45 in their final 3 non-conference games. And after 31 points at Tulsa, which was even a struggle in that game to get to, the offense was a struggle. So I think while your program's identity is cemented, is set in stone, I would just consider you need to hire someone who is going to get your offense going. And there's so many ramifications that are going to come from this. Which I mean, how many members of his coaching staff are going to leave? How many, players are going to transfer? What's going to happen to guys like Ivan Pace, Deshaun Pace, Evan Prater? What's going to happen to, um, guys like Charles McClellan, Malik Van, Dante Corleone, all these young and up and coming players? What's the secondary going to look like? I mean, obviously, with a coaching change like this, and this is, we knew going into, the Big 12 was going to be a challenge, but now you're going into the Big 12 without, your leader. And you're going into, unfamiliar territory, and you're going to have a whole new regime. You're going to have a whole new players. The best candidate to replace Luke Fickell, um, that's tough. I mean, that's really tough. This is um, this is a day that, you know, um, as someone who is, um, ever since I became a Bearcat, and I'm not afraid to say that, even though I'm supposed to cover this objectively. I am a UC alum, and as I find a way to get Russ Hellman on, um, you know, ever since I became a Bearcat and decided to go to the University of Cincinnati, I've always known Luke Fickell as the head coach. I was there in 2017 through the 4-8 season. I was there in um I was there for all those losses. Still working on getting Russ on here. We'll get to him in just a moment. But it kind of feels like someone from our family is leaving. And, you know, I'm sorry if I haven't really answered questions yet. But sorry, as I work to get trying to get Russ on here. Um, Let me see if I can get him on here. It's my first time doing this. Definitely just um a day that, for a lot of us, um looking to see if I can get him on the live chat. Still working on that. Making sure everything sounds good. Best candidate to replace Luke Fickell. That's a really interesting question. Why is it not letting me? Um, anyway, so I've got a few names that I would reach out to. First up, Ryan Day. That name's going to float around. I feel like that'd be a big name. Someone who's coached at the highest level of college football. Someone who could help with recruiting. Someone who understands the state. And I would also Um, someone just asked Patrick, thank you for reaching out. How do you turn down Notre Dame but go to Wisconsin? That's I mean, you have to think about the situations here. Notre Dame last year, Luke Fickell wasn't going to leave because his team was playing for a conference championship, was playing to go to the college football playoff, and Notre Dame was not, and Luke Fickell was not leaving in the midst of, how he built that. Wisconsin is interesting because I've always said that other job to the only other job that he would take besides Cincinnati is Ohio State. Um, and they already have Ryan Day. So that clearly is not going to happen. What is, and Wisconsin is not a huge rival to Ohio State. He was not going to take a Michigan job. He was not going to take a Michigan State or a Penn State or a, you know, any rival to Ohio State. And I do see your question though, because Notre Dame is a Catholic school and Luke Fickell, Catholic family, 6 kids. I really shouldn't have said that because I don't really know for sure. I just thought he was. I shouldn't say that though. But Wisconsin, Madison, the expectations are, I mean, there's palpable expectations in Wisconsin. They're a really good program. And you're going to be able to go in there and recruit. I think it fits his identity as a player well. Um, you know, someone who was a lineman. Wisconsin's all about trench play, trench warfare. And so to me, I see your question because why would you go to Wisconsin as opposed to Notre Dame? But at the end of the day, there's not going to be, I mean, you're going to be able to go into Wisconsin and win a Big Ten West championship, maybe in year one, because the Big Ten West is not a very strong division. So apparently I'm not able to add a guest to our YouTube live room, so I'm going to get Russ on the phone. He is going to give us some boots on the ground insight to what's going on. We might add a few more guests to this live room. This is just a really it's a big day for the Bearcats program. Ryan Day is a good choice. Tyler, I'm circling back to all your questions. Ryan Day is a good choice. I would even say Scott Frost is a very interesting name because, we know the success he had at UCF. And I think that would add a little bit to a rivalry that's going to be going into the Big 12. There's another name out there. I don't think this would happen, but in terms of, the name himself and his ability to recruit, I would say Deion Sanders, because to me, Noel saying that Luke regrets not going to Notre Dame. I don't know. I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know if that's true or not. You'd have to ask him yourself. I can't speak for him, but I just think, I just feel like that. I don't know if he regrets not going to Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman's doing a really nice job there. He's finishing up an 8-4 season, a bowl game, top 15 ranking currently. I don't think he regrets not going to Notre Dame. I think he looks at it as he wanted to stay at Cincinnati, and rightfully so. I mean, this program and this university and this administration gave him everything. Contract extension after 2020 or before the 2020 season, and then a new contract extension after the 2022 season. Patrick saying Prater going to leave now. Our top 25 class about to fall out to like 50. Russ saying he's eating his last piece of pizza. I wish maybe I'll get some pizza tonight. Anyway, I just feel like Is there a light behind me? No, there's not. Oh, wait, yes, there is. Hang on 1 second. So I turn a light on here to kind of give us some better lighting here. There we go. I just think, so I just feel like this is going to heavily impact recruiting. And, it's okay if you as a fan, everything that you got used to over the last 6 years, these top recruiting classes and these top, um, these, high profile players who have signed and who you have coming in. When I think about it, I think about players who have decommitted recently. Malik Elzy decommitted. Did they know something that we didn't? Did Luke Fickell know something that we didn't? It would not shock me if Evan Prater left, considering that he was being heavily recruited by some Power 5 programs. Michael saying, I want someone who wants to be a Bearcats head coach, FR, meaning for real. I mean, I understand emotions are running high right now, and I totally understand, Michael, how you're feeling. I really do. But to me, at the end of the day, Patrick saying offer Coach Prime whatever it takes. Yeah, there's someone that's on board with Deion Sanders. I just feel like, Luke Fickell wanted to be here. If he didn't, he would have left after. He stayed 6 years at a Group of 5 school. He stayed 6 years. That has to mean something to you. It should. Because he could have left way, way earlier. He could have left after 2018, and he stayed. And you knew he was going to leave eventually. These things just happen, right? At the end of the day, what are your expectations? And are you saying you want someone to be a Bearcats head coach for real? Because maybe you're still traumatized by Brian Kelly? And that's understandable. I know a lot of people are. But to me, I think about what he did for this program and how he could have left way earlier, like a lot of other coaches did. Butch Jones, Kelly, D'Antonio. He didn't. He took the Cincinnati Bearcats. And I know your expectations of the program have changed really since they went to the college football playoff. But you got to understand where this program was when Fickell inherited it. This program was irrelevant. This program was just, the expectation when Luke Fickell got here was get to a bowl game. This team is now a perennial top 25 team who battled through so much this year. Noelle saying, as a UCF fan, I feel your pain. She's referring to Scott Frost taking the Nebraska job after coaching UCF. Joshua saying, isn't Luke Fickell agreed to a contract with UC until 2028? That's absolutely true, but there are buyout terms and conditions in that contract. That's a question. As Russ is going to call me, I'm going to go get a drink of water, and I'll be back with Russ Hellman, so stay here with us. Hey, Russ, what's up, man?
Yo.
All right, we got Russ Hellman, my colleague at All Bearcats and Sports Illustrated. I'm going to go get a drink of water real quick, and I will, Russ, if you want to, just while I'm doing that, can you give our listeners here, I got the mic here right up to my cell phone here. Can you give us some insight on what you know? You're in Cincinnati right now. Luke Fickell, according to multiple reports, heading to Wisconsin. What do you know?
Well, we have confirmation from the acquirers, Keith Jenkins, saying the deal is done, that he is headed to Wisconsin. And we also have a Wisconsin longtime beat writer, Tom Oates, confirming that source close to the football program at Wisconsin, saying they will name Luke Fickell as head coach and plan to announce it later today. I would say pending the confirmation from the Wisconsin school board approving the big new deal for Fickell sometime this afternoon. Reports coming out that that's happening around 4 p.m. And then he will be named the head coach, and the ensuing press conferences will be happening after that. It's all kind of the same song and dance here in college football. The year after, or 12 hours after UCF puts the dagger in UC's 2022 season, they lose their coach and Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. And it's very eerie, Alex. I was thinking, watching the beatdown that Michigan handed OSU for the second straight year yesterday in the game, I was thinking UC fans should really cherish Luke Fickell, because I don't see him staying at this program for much longer. And boom, I didn't anticipate much longer, being literally 16 hours after I had that thought. But he takes the Wisconsin job, and now UC is left out in the wilderness searching for not only a head coach, but also a definitive quarterback option heading into the biggest talent jump they've ever experienced. Football program.
I think that's what's really Russ, and thank you for everybody joining our YouTube live room. Russ Hellman, my colleague at All Bearcats and Sports Illustrated. You see him every Thursday on Locked On Bearcats. So he's joining me now. Russ is in Cincinnati. Was there anything? Because the very first thing I saw was about an hour and a half ago. Pete Thamel from ESPN reporting that, Luke Fickell was in talks to become Wisconsin's next head coach. And he said that a deal could be done within the next 48 hours, or they could announce he's going to be the next head coach in 48 hours, something like that. But Russ, I mean, it's not even 2 hours later, and here we are on this live room, and we're talking about Luke Fickell, maybe the most iconic figure in Bearcats football history, gone. And I mean, this team's about to go to the Big 12. Was anything happening before today that you know?
I had not heard of any talks before today, and I don't think there were any definitive talks before the season was basically squashed. I know Fickell's agent probably, not that I know, but I'm guessing Fickell's agent had been taking feelers from Wisconsin. There had been conversations in that sense. But Fickell, to me, and this is why I think Bearcats fans should feel a lot differently about this leaving and this exit of a great coach this decade, as opposed to when Brian Kelly did it, because Luke Fickell waited till after the season was completely finished, did not really have any of those distractions creep in throughout the entire time when the Bearcats were still relevant and still competing for an AC championship. And he stayed here and turned down other big jobs multiple times over the past 6 years, building the program and launching it into the Big 12 and into monetary status that it would have never approached without the guidance of Luke Fickell here over the last 6 years. So the fact that he did leave in such a quick fashion is kind of typical of college football, but I don't think it was something that was menacing behind the scenes in an ongoing way proceeding today. And these things happen very quickly, especially high-level agents, high-level coaching deals. There's kind of a structure that's already set in place for those guys at the very top. And Luke Fickell, top 5 in coaching wins over the past 3 years overall. The number one coach in the history of the program at UC. You kind of know what he's going to command money-wise. And then when you have the right situation, like it appears, and it confirmed in multiple reports that he has in Wisconsin, then you make that deal done. You get that deal done.
All right. So let me ask you a question that a lot of people are asking. Who are the candidates to replace him?
I've been trying to, I was picking up pizza when this news was going down. I had to write the breaking news. Alex, I don't even know right now. The first one that comes to mind maybe is Gino Guidugli, but I don't know that. I think that's just the typical cliche guy already running the offense, entrenched program face, been there, and an alum of the school as well. Like, obviously that makes a lot of sense on the surface, but there's going to be an extensive search, and there should be, for a program that really needs to nail this hire heading into the Big 12 to make sure that they don't fall behind really quickly in what is going to be next year, at least, and maybe for the next 2 years, as long as Texas and Oklahoma are around, the second best conference top to bottom in the country in football, and the number one conference, obviously, in basketball. But knock on wood, there's nobody poaching Wes Miller tomorrow from the basketball team.
No. Wow, this is okay. So I'm getting suggestions on this live room, Russ. Michael suggesting Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Now, do you really want to mention his name after what Michigan did to them yesterday? I don't know. Jason suggesting Garrett Riley from TCU.
Yeah, well, a young guy, maybe somebody that can grow with UC in the Big 12, grow in the program. Arizona State made a move like that yesterday when they hired the Oregon up-and-coming offense coordinator. I forget his name, but really did a great job with Bo Nix this year, led the offense to a top 5 scoring total in the nation. So a hire like that could make sense for sure.
Yeah, and Garrett Riley, for those of you asking or wondering, he is the younger brother of USC head coach Lincoln Riley. Garrett Riley, the current offensive coordinator at TCU. Mr. CEO, that's a nice That's a nice name, by the way. Big 12 second best conference in football. LOL. Since when? I never said that. Russ, I mean, he's probably referring to something you said.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, everybody's subject to their own opinions. Russ is very knowledgeable. Russ is very smart. That's why I have him on. That's why.
That on another day when Luke Fickell was not
Yeah.
in.
So let's ask another question. Russ Hellman joining me. I'm going to try and get some other potential. Dan Horde, the voice of the Bearcats, is currently calling the Bengals game in Nashville. So Mo Eggers hosting a party. Maybe I could get him on. We'll try and get Keith, Justin, Chad, all the guys who covered the Bearcats. And of course, Russ Hellman, first guy I always turn to. He writes 10 articles a day. Mr. CEO now saying, in all seriousness, where does this leave Jim Leonhard? Well, Jim Leonhard, of course, the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, who took over for Paul Chryst when he was fired earlier this season. But Russ, back to what I was going to ask you. How does this impact a player still here? Who's going to transfer? Who's going to recruit? Recruiting. Russ, what kind of impacts is this going to have?
It's going to have sweeping impacts in a team that I expected to be very active in the transfer portal over the next 3 to 4 weeks once that window opens. That's now in flux now, as long as you don't have a head coach in place. We'll see how long this search takes. And then with the recruiting status, this happening right before the early signing day, the day when most of these guys, the 20-plus recruits still on board, a few of them obviously leaving and going to different programs over the past couple months in terms of decommitments, and guys like Malik Elzy, Cam Calhoun, Jason Hewlett, and the guys still left. How many are you going to be able to retain? And honestly, the number one option that I think you really have to focus on retaining, whoever comes into this program and takes over the reins, is Brady Drogosh. You cannot lose Brady Drogosh, the number one player in this class, the top 16 quarterback recruit in the country, a guy that I think is continuing to elevate his skill set, continuing to climb in the rankings. He's been doing that throughout the entire season, capped off a couple of days ago with a 52-13 win by De La Salle, his team, in his final game in that repeat Division II state title game in Michigan. So the fact that he can give you continuity in that quarterback room, if you're able to retain a guy like Evan Prater, unless he wants to go into the transfer portal. It's all in flux right now, but continuity in that quarterback room, establishing the set offense that you want to run, that you want to carry into a Big 12 that we all know is precipitated on being able to put up a lot of points. And having that continuity with the CEO of your program and the owner of your program and the head coach coming together and making sure that happens. But obviously retaining those two quarterbacks, I think, are the number one priority for this program outside of getting the right Luke Fickell replacement. And
that's Prater and Brady Drogosh that Russ is referring to. All right, so Tyler mentioning, and I'm not sure how to exactly pronounce his name. I'm going to give it a shot, though. John Stiegelmeyer from South Dakota State. He says, I know it's a long shot, but look at his record at SDSU. South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, they play in I don't even know if they play in the Summit League for football. I know they do in basketball. John Steigelmeyer, current head coach at South Dakota State. His record, he signed the contract extension last year through 2025. That's according to arguesleader.com. Stiegelmeyer let's see. He's been the head coach at South Dakota State. Russ, this is a new name to me, as I'm sure it is to you. He has been with South Dakota State. Wow, this is actually, Tyler is exactly right. Listen to this, Russ. He's been there since 1997. 1997. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So 25 seasons. Well, really 26. Before this year, he had 185 wins, 11 FCS playoff appearances, and advanced out of the first round in all of those 11 appearances except twice, including a national runner-up in 2021 or the 2020-21 season when they went 8-2 and 5-1. So far this year at the FCS level, they are 10-1. Their only loss. Here's something. Okay, Russ, here we go. So remember that weird game in week 1 when Iowa won 7-3 and they didn't score a touchdown in that game?
Yes.
Well, guess what team that was against?
South Dakota State.
There you go. How about that? Good digging, Tyler, to find that name there.
Yeah.
They've won every game.
That's the digging UC is going to have to do. Like, you're going to have to turn over every stone and go through every candidate. It's good, I think, that it happens now before 3 weeks before signing day. You have some time to go through a week, 10-day long search, really hammer this thing out, and then find the right guy that can hopefully turn around and use those remaining 2 weeks, 10 days to try to retain as many of these recruits as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like now the wheels start spinning. The wheels start spinning, and as soon as the firm press conferences, everything is announced, pen put to paper, then you go out there and start your absolute search.
All right. So, Russ, I don't know what time constraint you're on today. I mean, it is Sunday. I think our Sunday.
That's right. NFL just kicked off.
Yeah. Well, we will. So more comments, Russ. Mr. CEO now saying since he can't pull a major coach, their best bet is to hire internal. Russ, like, how attractive is this job? Because you're going to a Power 5 conference.
It's very attractive. It's the most attractive the UC job's ever been, right? How can it not be?
Yeah. The polar opposites of this job from 6 years ago to now is unbelievable. And I think that's why a lot of us are so sad, maybe a little, I don't want to say angry, but I feel like, it really is, when a coach, like, this is the first time that a coach has left Cincinnati that I can remember. And you're just like, depressed. Patrick saying maybe target Leonard, Jim Leonard, revenge style. I don't know if you want to do that. Run saying Wisconsin over Notre Dame. That's a word I can't say. Decision. John saying, can Brian Hartline from Ohio State be worthy of a head coaching job? Russ, does that? I mean,
maybe. It's the thing with these. You really have to go through. Like, I'm going to go through Director John Cunningham, his history. What are his relationships looking like? Because it's especially in college football, it's such a culture-based sport that it's even harder, I think, than as hard as it is in the NFL to predict how good coaching hires are and who's going to be a good head coach. It's even harder in college football because it's so oftentimes is about meshing that culture with the exact location you're bringing that culture to.
Yeah. Patrick saying, yes, Hardline is an option. Hardline. How about this name, Russ? Deion Sanders.
Deion, bring him in for an interview. Why not? The results speak for themselves.
Can you imagine
Flash higher heading into the Big 12.
Can you imagine if Deion Sanders came to the University of Cincinnati?
because I think it may be a little too cold for Deion Sanders
well,
at some points of the year. But
okay,
I guess he doesn't really technically have to live here that long in the winter. He can head back down south once the season's over.
Yeah.
At the end of December, January.
Okay, so Patrick's saying Chadwell, Leipold, Campbell should all receive calls. He also suggesting Bill O'Brien, Cadillac Williams, the current interim head coach at Auburn. Russ, here's the thing, Russ. Like, I can ask you if certain name is a reach, but I can also say, you know what? You need to hire the best head coach. And we saw John Cunningham do this with Wes Miller. You know, it wasn't, well, who's a former Bearcat or et cetera. No, we're going to hire the best guy for the job. And Wes Miller didn't have any relation to Cincinnati prior to when he became the head coach. And now look, Joe Russell saying he likes hardline as an option. So Bill O'Brien, Russ, would you be opposed to Bill O'Brien? I shouldn't ask it like that. Could Bill O'Brien be a candidate?
He could. I don't. Maybe. I don't know if there's any direct ties. I don't know if I could really realistically see that happening. But
yeah. Now let me ask you that.
It's hard to even know right now as we do this live show. It's hard to do the racking of the brain and try to figure out the exact right candidate. I mean, the first guy I think you're going to try to see what they want to do is Gino Guidugli. I think that's the first person they go to and interview and get a real sense of what kind of interest he would have in this job and how well he would be able to retain the rest of the staff. Maybe Mike Tressel as well. Just both of those coordinators. Tressel, obviously a stalwart in this program as well, and a guy that's built up that Black Cats defense into what it's been over the past few years and really a commanding voice on this staff. So I think you start internally and then you branch out from there, but I don't have any doubts that they're going to do a full and explicit search throughout the entire coaching ranks of college football.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Which coaches do you see leaving as a result of Luke Fickell leaving?
It'd be interesting to see if a guy like Tressel does go with Fickell to be his DC in Wisconsin. How many guys? I could see that. I could see it. Probably it's much more likely that Tressel goes with Fickell than Tressel becomes the UC head coach, I would think. But it's tough to know right now. Overall, I think a decent amount of that staff will leave. It just will kind of be pretty personal based as relative to guys wanting to stay in Cincinnati, guys wanting to stay for different reasons outside of just wanting to pursue higher jobs in the industry. So it'll be very interesting to see what guys leave and what guys stay, but I wouldn't imagine a majority of these staff will be around next year, especially if somebody externally is hired. Then obviously the majority of the staff will get turned over.
Yeah, I'm going on my Twitter right now. James, or who is, did all Bearcats tweet that? Yeah, all Bearcats has promoted that we are on our YouTube live stream. Again, thank you everybody for joining us on this Sunday afternoon. Will Muschamp, potentially a candidate, Russ.
Right, you just kind of throw out all these names that you've heard of before.
I'll throw out.
The thing is, the thing is with all these guys, is it's just you do not get that security and that knowing of we can enter the Big 12 and compete right away, because that's what the goal for this program was, and it's kind of, I think, shell shocking that is going to change, and the expectations are going to change that quickly in a 16 to 18 hour span.
It's unbelievable. I mean, here we are Friday. The Bearcats have a chance to clinch a spot in the AAC championship game, 6 minutes away, and they come up just short. And you never think Luke Fickell's going to leave, and then because like in years past, Russ. I mean, you were here last year when the Notre Dame rumors were swirling, and he turned. I mean, he ends up staying. I mean, that really didn't even amount to much of anything if you think about it. And now he goes to Wisconsin. Someone asked on this live room, "Hey, Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Why would you turn down Notre Dame but go to Wisconsin?" And Russ, I think you have to remember the circumstances were different last year. The Bearcats were playing for not only a conference championship, but a playoff berth. And now, this program just lost their leader who won 50. I mean, what was it? I should know this without having to do the math, but I'm going to do it anyway. 57 games over the last in 6 years. Russ, he's the all-time winningest head coach. Ryan asking me what my thoughts are. I'm obviously, disappointed. I obviously, it's a sad day for the program. I don't know if yeah, it is. But at the same time, I think today is also Joe saying we'll give you Dana Holgerson. I wouldn't be opposed to that, Russ.
I saw that.
Yeah, Houston going to the Big 12 as well. Holgerson's coaching the Big 12 before West Virginia. But I just feel like, Ryan, to answer your question, I feel like something that has been a part of me since I was a Cincinnati Bearcat is leaving. I chose to go to Cincinnati on March 2nd of 2017, which was, and my Cincinnati Matt's going to do me well here, that was 82 days after Luke Fickell, was it 82? I think it was. Yeah, 82 days. I think. 82 days after Luke Fickell signed on to be the next head coach at Cincinnati. December 10th, 2016 was the day he signed. And I chose to go to Cincinnati 82 days after the fact. So, I feel like, Russ, for me, because I've covered this team really since 2017, and I've met Luke Fickell multiple times. He's an incredible man. He's a man of faith, values, everything you'd want him to be. And so it's going to feel so different because this is a coaching change that is, not needed or, welcoming. It's sad. Russ, it feels like a part of me today, and I cover this objectively. But for me, and Ryan, to answer your question, it's a hard pill to swallow. Someone who built my alma mater, my mom's alma mater, my grandparents' alma mater to heights that, we never imagined when he took over this job. The college football playoff, the Big 12, it's a change, a big change. There's a big void within the Cincinnati community. Russ, now I'm wondering now, what the Cincinnati area high school football recruiting is going to be like. Do all of those guys now flock back to Ohio State? Do those guys go to, I don't know, Michigan, Kentucky, Louisville? I mean, the impacts of this, Russ, are just, really, really something.
Yeah, they're wide ranging, and I'll kind of end my hit here on this, Alex, so I can try to watch some of this Bengals Titans epic clash here.
Yeah.
On CBS. But we have an update for footballscoop.com, so everybody head to footballscoop.com to read the full story here from John Bryce. But starting off with some guys that are expected, and sources told Football Scoop could be heading to Wisconsin with Fickell, strength coach Brady Collins, head of team sports performance, I should say,
wow,
as well as the head recruiting directors and Pat Lambert and Max Steinmecker.
Oh, no.
Sources say are expected to head there with Fickell. And then some guys that could be Fickell's replacement, according to Football Scoop. Obviously, the on-staff number one names, the duo of which, obviously, Tressel and Guidugli, and then the guy we didn't mention, Kerry Coombs, who we obviously should mention, has a ton of deep ties in Cincinnati, a long coaching history, could definitely handle this job and guide this team pretty well into the Big 12. Brian Hartline, a big popular name on this live room, is another player in this race that sources indicated to Football Scoop could be in the running. Ohio State wide receivers coach right there. Former Cincinnati star Mike Mickens, also a decent name to be thinking about right there. He was mentioned by Football Scoop, currently the defensive backs coach for former Cincinnati defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman. at Notre Dame, and then some other names: Tennessee Volunteers coordinator Alec Golish, offensive coordinator there.
Good name.
He is a guy with deep Ohio roots. I don't know if we mentioned him on this call.
No.
But he's another name as well. So the name's starting to float around. The pieces leaving UC also starting to float around. We'll see how many of those confirmations happen in terms of the exits by Luke Fickell's staff with him to Madison. But I think final thoughts on this is Bearcats fans, I think, will hopefully treat this exit much more, I think, judiciously than the exit of Brian Kelly, because of the everlasting effect and everlasting memories that Luke Fickell gave this team, gave this fan base, gave this program, and the heights that he's brought them and launched them into on his way out. A guy who has turned down multiple big jobs, has never cheated this program in my eyes, has always done things pretty much the right way up until the end.
Exactly.
And took a job that you can't really blame him for. Wisconsin is a great job with a lot of great fans. It's a great program, and it's a place where he can definitely take his developmental mindset and bring it to Madison and win countless Big Ten West championships and be able to play for a lot of Big Ten titles and maybe go to a college football playoff for the first time in the Badgers' history there, too. So all in all, I think it's a sad day definitely for Cincinnati Bearcats football, but it's a day to kind of reset, look towards the future, and also look towards the past and all the great memories that this team, this fan base, has created over the past 5 years, especially in 2021 with the college football playoff berth. And then in 2022, a team that lost so much talent, but all in all fought to the finish in nearly every game, never really got blown out, and was right there fighting for a MAC championship until the very end, and just came up a little bit short.
Say that last part again. I was reading a comment from one of our listeners today. Say that last comment again, Russ. MAC championship.
Oh, that's just how they barely came up short.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought you were going to. All right. Russ Hellman's my colleague at All Bearcats and Sports Illustrated. Russ, I imagine your Sunday's taking a little bit of a turn. I mean, talk about just getting back from vacation and diving right in, but here we go.
Yep. There you go. That's the way the egg rolls.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen in this business. It's crazy.
Exactly.
But,
so Russ and I will have
a lot of fun, Alex. Glad to be able to jump on and wish you a fun rest of your Sunday.
Hey, Russ,
it's been eventful to start.
No question about it, Russ. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll talk soon. I'm sure you and I are going to be hitting this hard this week. So thanks for joining me, and have a good rest of your Sunday.
No doubt. We'll have a lot more candidates, a lot more of this breakdown on our weekly hit on Locked On Bearcats.
Absolutely. Thank you, Russ, for joining me. Here's the thing that I was just thinking about. Russ talking about how Bearcats fans will hopefully handle this more judiciously. That's a good choice of words there. I feel like, for me, the next head coach has a lot to live up to. Like, this is now when I talk about, replacing greatness. When I talk about the next Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, the next, eventually in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, Desmond Ritter with the Bearcats. Now we can add Luke Fickell to that list. Bob Huggins, we can add Luke Fickell to that list because he is the greatest head coach in Bearcats football history, and it's not even close. What I hope the next head coach is as transparent and as honest as Luke Fickell is, because that is what I appreciated the most about him. And I did a whole episode on that. You have to understand how lucky we were as Bearcats fans that he was here for 6 years, because there aren't many head coaches like that, right? Aside from Mark Fewa-Gonzaga and Frank Solich at Ohio, and supposedly now John Steigelmeier from South Dakota State, you don't see a lot of that because it's always about where the money is, the talent, the glamour, but Luke Fickell's never been a part of that, right? He's never been a part of that. And I am going to keep this live room going because we still have a lot of people here. Thank you again for all of you for joining. And like I was saying, this is a sad day for a lot of people. My family, friends who I cover the team with, Russ, James, UC graduate. This is a really tough day. And this is going to be, talk about added drama going into the Big 12. new head coach, maybe a new quarterback. You got to I mean, this is like, we talk about ramifications. What I really hope doesn't happen is what's happened over the last 5 years. Just, and I did an episode of Locked On Bearcats on this. You can chronicle the Bearcat. If 30 for 30, the college football playoff run, that was the climax, but you hope that there wasn't a falling action and a resolution. Like, I think Luke Fickell staying after the playoff was kind of one of the best things to happen to this program. And I think a lot of us maybe are confused because the Bearcats are now in that Power 5, fold. But the truth is, hey, you really never know why he's leaving. And I think what you can appreciate is the transparency. I think you can appreciate that he coached this season. And yes, we didn't know there were some things going on behind the scenes. But you know what? And now you just really have to hope that Evan Prater stays, Brady Dragish, as Russ mentioned, the Pace brothers, all your key pieces. I mean, it feels like everything that has happened over the last 5 years, you don't really know because the leader of it is now leaving. And that's a hard thing to, face. If you're a program, if you're a player, if you're a fan, donor, I mean, this is going to have a lot of impacts. For the first time since 2016, the University of Cincinnati is in uncertain territory. It is uncertain territory for this program right now. Luke Fickell is leaving, right? The Enquirer has confirmed it. John Oates has confirmed it, mostly retired sports columnist from Wisconsin. Footballscoop.com is on it. A lot of fans are upset right now. And that's understandable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get some more reporters on the line. I'm going to try and call Justin Williams. I'm sure he's busy, but just to try and get some boots on the ground insight to what is going on surrounding the University of Cincinnati. We'll see if we can get him on the line on this.
This is Justin Williams.
Went straight to voicemail. I can imagine that. So we won't bother Justin. I kind of feel like right now that this live room is me being here for you. And I'm going to do a whole episode on this. This is going to be Tuesday's episode. Well, really, I'm going to post it for tomorrow because this is major news, to say it lightly. And I do feel for every Cincinnati Bearcat. I feel for the players. I feel for the coaches. I feel for, the recruits, their families. This is a very, very hard day for a lot of people. And just that, the falling action from last year's playoff berth. You think this season was a rebuild, which we'll talk about that more this week on Locked On Bearcats, but you just think about that, and I just think about, now you're truly in a rebuild. Luke Fickell is truly in, the Bearcats program is truly in a rebuild. I haven't even been on Instagram since this news broke. But Bearcats Prime. That was 2 hours ago. There's a few steps remaining for this deal to come together, according to Pete Thamel, per sources. It's 24 hours. It's expected to be finalized within the next 24 hours. All candidates, including interim head coach Jim Leonard, have been told they're not getting the job. Wow. Bearcats Prime. Breaking, Luke Fickell will be the new head coach of Wisconsin and will leave Cincinnati after 6 seasons. It is true. It is happening. And this is a day that a lot of us, and thank you guys again for staying with me on this live room. Um, Justin Williams tweeting 9 minutes ago, Luke Fickell will be the next head football coach of Wisconsin. Sources confirmed to The Athletic. Fickell informed University of Cincinnati he's leaving to take the new job. This process has been reported by multiple outlets today. Pete Thamel was first to break news of pursuit. Tom Oates tweeting an hour ago. I don't want to Coach Solly, linebacker trainer, Bearcats football alum, saying appreciative for everything that Coach Fick and crew did to revive and thrive the program. We went from starting at the proverbial deathbed to being within 2 scores of Alabama in the college football playoff. That really sums it up right there. And if you think about that, I mean, you were in college football irrelevancy in the group of 5, and then you were going toe-to-toe with Alabama through 3 quarters in the college football playoff, 17-6 going into the 4th quarter. That's a really good summary of what Luke Fickell did and how far he took this program and what the next coach has a lot to live up to. Just Justin Watley, defensive lineman, putting on Twitter 13 minutes ago, damn, with a broken heart. Just scrolling through Twitter. Luke Fickell has informed the University of Cincinnati he's leaving to take the new job. That is, I think, according to Justin, the official. That's official. Man Cool saying Fickell's done an amazing job. I mean, as fans, we can't thank him enough. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why today is a day of sadness. When you think about the Bearcats football program, Brian Kelly made you care. Luke Fickell made you invest. I can't tell you how much I've devoted my time to Bearcats football over the last few years, and how many games I got to commentate. 2 conference championship games. I got to go to Indiana and Notre Dame last year. I got to be on the field for the conference championship game against Houston. Man Cool saying we knew it was going to happen sooner or later. I mean, that's a logical thing to think. Because, you're an up-and-coming head coach. And I get it, Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. And I think that's what makes this really interesting, is because the Bearcats, we're finally in the Power 5 fray. And now they're not. With their head coach. Sorry, my mom texted me something funny. What we don't know is if he's going to coach the bowl game. We don't know that. That's going to be determined. My guess, I don't know the answer to that. I think it'd be. I think. I don't know what I think he's. I don't think he would, just because I think he'd have to hit the recruiting trail right away, early signing period. I mean, that'd be like having 2 jobs at one time, which then again a lot of people do that. But it is a tough pill to swallow. I mean, then again, Brian Kelly didn't coach the bowl game last year at Notre Dame. Nick Levette saying no thanks, go to Wisconsin. I understand, Nick, how you're feeling. I do have sympathy. I empathize with you, sympathize with you. I just feel like, why would you coach the bowl game if you're already committed somewhere else? I don't think that's fair to the players. Um, you know, unfortunately, this is the way college athletics work. Max saying no deal yet. We don't know the terms and conditions of the deal yet. This is obviously a very developing story. Much more coming later this week on Locked On Bearcats. Russell join me. I'll have, I'm going to reach out to my sources up in Cincinnati for boots on the ground reporting. Um, wow, all of you guys for joining, and I'm just here for you. I'm here for you. um, this is obviously a very fluid situation. You don't know how long the coaching search is going to take. You don't know how. Man, cool saying I kind of knew it was going to happen this year. Just felt weird and different. Yeah, I mean, I think you might be thinking about that now. You might have felt those. Um, maybe during the season, but now that it's happened, it's like, um, you know, now that's happened, you kind of are just, thinking that you kind of felt it during the season. Now, let's try and get Keith Jenkins from the Cincinnati Enquirer, since he was the first to confirm it as far as local Cincinnati beat writers. Keith does a tremendous job covering the Bearcats for the Enquirer. He's covered them for 3 years. Big fan of his. I imagine we're probably not going to be able to get him on. Wow, we're up to 56 views on the live stream. That's really good. Expedition Midwest asking, was there drama behind the scenes? Please leave your message for. Sorry about that. Russ kind of alluded to that. He basically just said that, he basically just said that there wasn't really, we didn't really know anything. And so that man cool saying, man, that Peach Bowl versus Georgia really hurt now that I'm thinking about it. That's interesting to think about. Because yeah, that loss sucked. I'm struggling to like add to that. Because maybe you're wishing that he could have had an undefeated season. The Bearcats, because you would have beaten an SEC school. But I think if the Bearcats had won that game, a lot of players like Desmond Ridder, Sauce Gardner, they wouldn't have come back for their final seasons. And then there wouldn't have been a playoff appearance. Man cool saying maybe if we won that game, Fick could have stayed. I mean, he stayed after that game. So, I mean, you never know. And there's going to be a lot of questions that you're going to ask because you're just, your head's spinning right now. And I understand that. And I feel the same. I feel the same way. I'm asking myself, is this program going to, go into, 2015, 2016? Jim Feld saying it's a gut punch to the program, but Fick made it a program with the best profile in the G5, able to attract a good coach, good recruits. Let's get to work. That's really positive, Jim. I really like you saying that. Tyler chiming back in. Phil Parker, defensive coordinator from Iowa. Yeah, I mean, I think the Big Ten's a good place to target a young up-and-coming coordinator. The question that I would have to ask is, do we want a defensive or offensive-minded head coach? Because you look around the American, you look around UCF, the American right now, and then the Big 12. The Big 12 is all about offense. I mean, even though John Garcia, Jr., director of football recruiting for Sports Illustrated, multiple times on this show has told me that, the Big 12 is about running the football and in defense. I mean, yeah, there's a lot to that. There is. I really do believe that. But at the end of the day, what this comes down to is, your program is all, and Brian Kelly was an offensive background. Man cool chiming in, Deion Sanders, Ryan Day, maybe Leonard, the next head coach. Deion Sanders, Russ said he wouldn't have to live here in the winter, but I mean, being a college coach is essentially a 365-day job because of all that goes into it. This is, the thing about it is you're going to be able to have a wide net of searches because it is, Eric chiming in, we're happy to have Fick coming to Wisconsin, but y'all should be a very hot job because the Big 12 is open for you to step in and compete immediately. Yeah, I mean, the Big 12 this year has been It's been a competitive conference, but stalwarts like Baylor hasn't been as good. Oklahoma State hasn't been as good. Um, TCU's been a surprise. Kansas State's been a surprise. West Virginia's had a down year. Iowa State's finished 4-8. Oklahoma didn't do well. Texas kind of, mediocre season. So yeah, I mean, it just all depends on, how quickly can this new regime come in. I mean, here's the thing: is like, is it going to be like Lincoln Riley 1 year in at USC, where USC has a very down year last year, and he comes in, and 1 year later they are on the doorstep of the college football playoff, and that's in the Pac-12. I mean, their only loss is by 1 point to Utah. Cool saying the one thing that I'm really going to miss about Fick is his development. I mean, 3-star Sauce Desmond Ritter, great developer, absolutely. And that's why we now get to experience what it's like to replace, a great head coach in football. Here's the thing. Luke Fickell, it was so great, a lot of things. The next head coach has a lot to live up to, and you're going to compare him to Luke Fickell. That is natural, and I'm going to do the same thing. But now we are now going to, maybe going to the Big 12, you'll get higher, already developed recruits. Maybe the next head coach is only going to focus on competing for championships as opposed to developing. What Luke Fickell did, he had to rebuild a program, he had to develop a program, he had to keep it at the top 10, and he did. The Bearcats were a top 10 team for over a year. The Cincinnati Bearcats were a top 10 team for over a year. Say that to yourself. How impressive is that? I mean, 2020, they were in the Peach Bowl. 3 years before that, they were 4-8. And picked to go 4-8 again in 2020, in 2018 per Athlon Sports. That year, they finished 10-2. Right? Now, it's going to, one only Carter saying, let's go Bengals. I'll check the score real quick. I can always rewatch the game on Game Pass later tonight or tomorrow. It is 0-0 in the first quarter? Yeah. So anyway, just, Cool saying, it would be amazing, Marcus Freeman making his return. Yeah, it would. That would be really something. I don't think he's going to leave Notre Dame after one season. I don't. I think he's got. I think the players love him so much. And I think Luke Fickell would tell him not to do that. I think Marcus Freeman's going to stay at Notre Dame for at least another year. I don't think he. I mean, look, I'd love it if he came back. I would love it because players would. I mean, here's the thing too. I haven't mentioned this yet. Luke. I haven't mentioned this yet. Not only are you hiring for current players, think about alums. Who would Desmond Ritter want? Who would Sauce Gardner? Tony Pike? Who would the Kelsey brothers want? Connor Barwin, Kevin Huber. All these players and alums, Shaq Washington, Marty Gilliard. If I'm John Cunningham, I get those guys in on the search. This is a major, like you have to get this right. And John Cunningham has gotten his coaching hires right. Wes Miller, correct. But this is on the football side. This is for a program that is going to the Big 12 in the highest revenue-driven sport. Patrick N. Urban Meyer, a UC guy, and a lot of people forget that. That is true, but I do not want Urban Meyer because of what happened in Jacksonville. If what happened in Jacksonville had not happened, I would probably still not want him because of the allegations and rumors that swirled around him. Cool saying this isn't just going to affect the football team, it will affect the entire university. Absolutely. Because think about this, and I tell people this all the time. College athletics have a huge impact on the university as a whole. Like, I chose to go to UC because of the basketball program, because I'm a huge college basketball fan. Like, the success, and it's funny how UC keeps increasing their enrollment every single year because of the success of the football program. That's massive. That is huge. And it's going to be interesting to see because football is the best sport in America, especially at the college level. You care about college football. College football is woven into the fabric of this country. I mean, college football is woven into the fabric of American history. When you think about, Ohio, when you think about, the Deep South and rivalries and trophies and, this is just, this is going to be Patrick saying, forget Jacksonville. BK is I can't say that on this live stream as well, but he still gets jobs and wins. OSU fans want Meyer back. Nebraska did. It would be a home run hire. Again, though, character issues. He was fired from Jacksonville. Ohio State, rumors swirled around him in 2018. He is a UC guy. Would he want to get back into coaching? I don't know. That would be a really interesting name. If you, I don't take those character issues lightly. If you take those away, absolutely I'd hire him. But because of those, I don't know if I want that to be what I want representing my alma mater, my mom's alma mater, my grandparents' alma mater. Understand this is where we are. You're going to throw out names, right? There's a lot of them. But to me, at the end of the day, what it comes to Patrick saying recruiting would skyrocket, Expedition Midwest saying no way Urban. Urban Meyer might be one of those polarizing names because he's done. Everywhere he's gone, he's won. Utah, Bowling Green, Ohio State, Florida, you name it. And as a college coach, he's one of the best of all time. But again, you worry about his character issues. Now, then again, I'm not even going to go there. So, again, this is just a really, really sad day for Cincinnati. Adam Otto saying smart to stay away from Urban now. Damaged goods. His integrity might be, but as far as him as a coach, I don't think so. Man, cool saying no one really wants Urban, but he might be the best option for head coach. I don't know if John Cunningham would reach out to him. He is a Cincinnati graduate. Those character issues make it so hard for me to get behind that. It really would. Now that would, yes, recruiting would skyrocket. One only Carter saying, when will we know who our new coach is? I don't know. I think you don't want it to be too soon because then you didn't really do a wide enough search. I don't think you want it to be like John Brannon, but I don't want it to be like where you drag it out so long. Like, if we don't know who our next head coach is by the time the Heisman Trophy winner is named in 2 weeks, I think that's the time to be concerned. Like, Luke Fickell, again, Luke Fickell was named head coach on December 10th, 2016. That was a Saturday. Was it? Yeah. It was a Saturday because my sister's birthday. Her birthday was a Wednesday. Okay. Expedition Midwest saying Jesse Minter. That's a name I have not heard of yet. Jesse Minter. Currently the defensive coordinator at Michigan. Yeah, that's a good name. Michigan's defense having a really good season, 12-0, playing in the Big Ten Championship next week. Just embarrassed Ohio State yesterday on their home turf. Patrick saying Nate Meyer, his son, is an assistant at UC. Just saying, yeah. Look, you're not wrong there. So, he'd be in familiar surroundings and recruiting, yes, would skyrocket. Man, cool saying, I think the university needs to really take the time to decide who they want the new head coach to be and really explore all the options to get this right. Yes. Because you're replacing the most iconic head coach and figure in Bearcats football history. Expedition Midwest saying Minter is in the Harbaugh tree from Baltimore. That's good. John Harbaugh is one of the best head coaches in the NFL. This is his 15th season with the Ravens, and you look at the success he's had: a Super Bowl, multiple AFC Championship game appearances, numerous division titles. So this is a really, and again, this is just we are rolling here. 56 of you joining this live room right now. Great to see that. On a Sunday afternoon, on a day where a lot of us are, we're mourning. And look at that. We've got a lot of new subscribers, 581. Patrick saying, who knows, could be this week or February. I don't think it's going to be February. It better not be. Right? Because to me, at the end of the day, February, you're getting ready for spring ball. You got to know who you have and hit the transfer portal before then. This university has to, John Cunningham is not going to be able to sleep much these next few weeks. It's so interesting because just when you think you're not going to have a lot to talk about on this podcast for the next few weeks, you will. We're changing head coaches here. We are changing head coaches. Man Cool saying field goal Tennessee. That means the Titans are up 3-0. But we're going to keep it here. And I just think, it is a really, really sad day for the University of Cincinnati. As an alum, as a someone who covers the team, and I know I'm supposed to cover this objectively, but as an alum, my mom, grandparents, we all went there. We're sad today because we've heard these rumors swirling for 4 years, and it finally came to a head today. Excuse me. So Kerry Combs, interim head coach, just got the notification. Let me check and see if anyone. Yes, Justin Williams, 6 minutes ago. Kerry Combs has been named interim head coach of the Cincinnati Bearcats. A source tells The Athletic Combs was Cincinnati special teams and defensive backs coach this season. Combs has a long history in Cincinnati and with the Bearcats and will no doubt be a candidate for the permanent head coaching position. I'm not sure if you want that. Man Cool asking who's Kerry Combs. Man Cool, he's long time Colerain High School head coach. He's coached at the college level at Ohio State, Cincinnati back in 2000, I believe, 8 through 2012. He was the cornerbacks coach for the Tennessee Titans in 2018, went back to Ohio State as defensive coordinator, came back to Cincinnati. Currently special teams coach. Thank you, one and only Carter. Sorry if I have not been saying that correctly. Special teams coach, defensive backs coach. Ted Pollitt saying transfer portal starts on December 5th. So that is a week from tomorrow. I think you got to have your head coach named by then or pretty close to then. Especially because you think about players like Prater, Dragic, guys like Amari Snowden, guys like Dia McCullough, guys like so many great players on this team right now. The Pace brothers. Most of your big name players right now are Fickell recruits. Does Charles McClellan go somewhere else for a 6th season? Does Malik Vann come back for a 6th season, or does he go elsewhere? There's a lot of options here to consider, and I think that is what makes this so important. You got to hire the right guy. I don't want a head coach to be named Wednesday. If he's named on Sunday or Monday, fine. Man Cool saying, I think Quincy Burrows is going to be a great future wide receiver at Cincinnati. Yes. Patrick saying, love Combs, but as a long-term head coach, not the move, obviously. Correct. If you want to keep him on staff, that's fine. He's a high-energy guy. He's a Cincinnati guy. He can attract recruits. I really do believe that. So, a lot of options. Again, and you're going to see Josh Neighbors reaching out to me. He wants to do a show with me to talk about the news here soon. Yes, absolutely. Jeez. But again, like, I mean, these last 80 minutes have been sort of therapeutic. So much on the line to get this right. If you're Cincinnati going to the Big 12, so much, the playoff berth from 2 years ago, you don't want that to be a distant memory. And I think, next year when you go into the Big 12, you're going to face some tough competition. I mean, the bowl game this year is going to be interesting to see. So, Kerry Combs being named interim head coach. That could suggest to me, man, cool, saying pretty tough week for us. Lost our home streak, lost the greatest Cincinnati football coach of all time, and eliminated from the AAC championship. Yeah, definitely a frustrating week. The last 3 years, we're used to this team playing for a championship game. I've been at all 3 games. I was going to be at the game on Saturday if they won on Friday. But, now we've got, a lot of action surrounding this program. And I think for the first time, and it does suck that you're going to have a lot of uncertainty going to the Big 12 after all that, we saw over the last 5 years. But, it is a new era, and there are some positives. Ted Pollitt saying Pete Lembo from South Carolina, special teams coach. Yeah, if you saw his team's performance yesterday against Clemson, that's a great name. And I was thinking about that name actually earlier. One and only Carter saying you ain't lying. Yeah. Ted Pollitt. That's really, really interesting because I watched that game yesterday. The punting, pinning Clemson back deep in their own territory, the fumble kickoff after the safety, which the game could have gotten away from them right there. And then the fumble on the punt return at the end of the game that gave South Carolina the chance to ice the game. So that right there is a really, really interesting name. I would go all in because special teams are improving for Cincinnati. Mancool saying, I'd love a defensive-minded coach for us because we have been a defensive team for a long time, and we can use that to our advantage for defensive recruits. Yeah, I think that, yeah. I mean, look, I think whatever side of the ball you choose, because, I mean, look around the NFL. Sean McDermott's a defensive-minded head coach, and Buffalo is one of the best offenses in the league. I think about, who you'd want as a head coach. Obviously, college football's gone spread offense. It's high scoring, but that puts an onus on defenses to be able to stop those teams. That's what made Cincinnati hold Notre Dame to 13 points in South Bend. They held Georgia to 24 and Alabama to 27. Zachary Steinmetz saying Urban Meyer. A lot of people are going to say that. I think it's going to be a hot name to float around, and there's logic to it. Again, the character issues are what, pulls me away from him. They really do. This is a really a lot of people are tweeting their thank yous. Mancool saying the Bengals tied the game at 3. Todd Pollitt saying if defense, then Matt House, LSU's defensive coordinator. So, Coach Hackney saying go get Tennessee's offensive coordinator Alex Golesh. this is a really just a sad day. It's tough when you think about Patrick saying, just want to say thank you to me. Well, that's very nice of you, Patrick. We definitely needed this release of anger via conversation today, and that's what I'm here for. I haven't been in Cincinnati a lot over the last year, but I'm going to be more next year. Next year, starting in February and March, actually, really next week. Man Cool Green, thank you, Man Cool. This might be a good time to maybe wrap this up. I'm going to stay on though, just in case we get more people listening, and just just in case we if more people want to come on and explain how they're feeling, because this is tough for you. And if you're a student, if you are a donor, an alum, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And there's a lot of uncertainty. And we'll do this live room again when when the Bearcats name their next head coach. We definitely will. A lot of fan accounts posting thank yous on Instagram. A lot of fans reaching out. It still almost feels surreal. Thank you all. Bearcat, Bengals, Cavs, Reds, 3 exclamation points. Then the number 3 saying, I hope we don't lose recruits. Yeah, that's a major worry. Guys who have built this program for so long. Brady Collins. I think that might be a bigger loss than Luke Fickell. When you think about all that he's done, developing of players, everything we've known for the last 6 years of Bearcats football is going to be unfamiliar to us. This is a really hard day. Patrick saying the key is we as fans have to show up still. Nippert still needs to be packed. That's a great point, Patrick, because this is still a Big 12 program. You don't want Big 12 teams coming into a 30,000, 20,000 seat stadium. That's not a good look. I think you have to, this is where maybe Man Cool saying, don't worry, I will still be showing up. There you go. I will be there too. It just seems like a lot of things, have ended this week. And there's more people are joining, so I'll stay on here for a little bit. I do hope that the fans still keep coming. I really do, because this is still this program would not be where it is without Luke Fickell. He made you invest in the program and he got you to the Power 5. His legacy is going to be hard to summarize. Man Cool saying touchdown Titans. It's only the second quarter. And the Bengals have come back from deficits before. So, but I'm going to keep this going. I haven't eaten lunch yet. That's okay. Maybe Russ will send me a pizza from Cincinnati. This is just a really hard thing to endure. It really is. You didn't know how long he was going to stay, truthfully. Lisa Thomas saying there are still great players on this Bearcats team. Ted saying in transfer portal era need to get head coach ASAP to keep players. Yes, that's a great point right there, Ted. I can tell you right now, we'll have another live room when the next head coach is named. We will. Do you think we will get someone from a college team or the NFL? I've never thought about who I'd want from the NFL. It's hard. I mean, names that come to mind: Mike Vrabel. Um, Head coach needs to be hired in a week, preferably, according to Swish Shorts. Yes. Vrabel is a name that comes to mind. Um, ooh. I would not go Cliff Kingsbury. Pete Carroll's not going to leave Seattle. Um, hmm. I've never thought about stuff like this. Um, yeah, I mean, this is really that's interesting to think about. I mean, this is yeah, because like I'm trying to think of which college coaches have significant NFL backgrounds, and the only two I can think of are Vrabel and Kingsbury, and I would take Vrabel. There's just a lot of there's a lot of things that need to happen. Um, who else? I don't know of any other names besides the two I've mentioned who would come from the NFL to um to Cincinnati. Do you know who the most likely candidate is? I don't want to say anything I don't know, and right now I don't. Um, Pure speculation. What if Fickle struggles for 4 years at Wisconsin and is fired? Want him back or no? Absolutely, I want him back. You kidding me? Mancool saying don't see Vrabel leaving Tennessee for Cincinnati. I agree with that. Would I want Fickle back if he struggles at Wisconsin? Yes. I'm not even going to hesitate on that one. I'm running through all the NFL teams, and I don't really know who, besides Vrabel, who's not going to leave Tennessee, according to Mancool, or Cliff Kingsbury, and I don't really think Cliff Kingsbury is a good option. I think about no one from the East. I'm trying to think of like coordinators around the NFL that can maybe go back to college. I mean, Matt Rule did that. He's going from Carolina back to Nebraska. He went from Baylor to Carolina. So, again, there's a lot of things to consider. And, you know, would you look at a young and up and coming coach? I mean, this name floated in my head earlier, Willie Fritz at Tulane. Does he make the jump? He's been in Tulane for 7 years. Does he make the jump to a Power 5 level? Donaldson, Wisconsin Big Ten champs 2023. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I think we all can agree we want Fickle to do well. He's going to a program that is, you know, easy to root for, you know, always you want a team like Wisconsin to do well. Plain and simple, you want them to do well. They recruit well, they're always well coached. And, you know, their stadium, their atmosphere is incredible, Camp Randall. And, you know, you want to see them do well in the Big Ten West. And I think they will. I mean, I think that division is very, very winnable. And then you get to the Big Ten championship and see what happens. So just keeping it here again. The big story of the day, Luke Fickell, you know, has informed the University of Cincinnati he is leaving to take the head coaching job at Wisconsin. Francis saying He will do well there, but he will also have to play Ohio State every year. I'm not sure how the Big Ten. I'm not sure if every year, Francis, the Big Ten schedule, but I do know that he's going to probably have to play them in the Big Ten championship a few times, Michigan. So it's going to be very, very difficult. Ted saying no need to get a head coach with damaged goods, and Fickell has to weather to keep Jim Leonard as Wisconsin defensive coordinator. That's interesting. That's an interesting development that's going to take place potentially up in Wisconsin. Not something that we're going to look at. Well, we could if Jim Leonard wants to go to Cincinnati. And I think the surrealness is setting in now. All the memories that you have of this Bearcats football program and the greatest era of its history. And it's unfortunate that it is, it feels like the end. And you're having all these memories and you're just, you're reminiscing and you're probably emotional today. And this is a big hit for a lot of people, the community, the fans, so many people. Looking to see if there's anything. Barstool Cincinnati asking what makes most sense. Jesse Minter, Tom Herman. Didn't think about him. Brian Hartline, other. I didn't think about Tom Herman. He obviously has some Ohio background. He coached coordinated Ohio State to a national championship. There's a lot going on, and it's very, very hard and it's difficult. Francis saying, will the player he recruited follow him? That's to be determined. That is to be determined. We don't know. We simply don't know. It definitely it's really setting in. It really is. And as you all have commented, it's setting in for you. So there's a lot of options for this next head coach. There really is. Again, thank you to everybody who has subscribed. Will Coach Brady stay? If you were on, Francis, earlier on this live room, Russ Hellman, my colleague at All Bearcats and Sports Illustrated, he says to me, according to Football Scoop, that Brady Collins is likely to head with him to Wisconsin. So, I'm taking that as no, which would be really hard. Again, thank you to all who have subscribed to the podcast since this live room. And thank you to all of you who listen to the show every day. Make it your first listen every day. It means a lot, especially covering the team not in Cincinnati currently. And you all have helped this podcast grow into, something. And I'm very thankful for that, especially on Thanksgiving weekend. Expedition Midwest saying not only is Cunningham looking for a new football coach, but also a new women's soccer coach. Really a big test for him going into the Big 12. That's a good point. Bearcats, Bengals, Cavs, Reds commenting, thank you. And thank you for being on and supporting this supporting this live room. It really means a lot. At the end of the day, this all happened very suddenly. You go back to about 11. You go back just 3 hours ago and you see Pete Thamel's tweet and report and story and you get, concerned. And then Tom Oates from Madison confirms it. Jordan saying, just got here. Have we even joked about Prime yet? Yes, we have. Ted Pollard saying his legacy is getting UC to the college football playoff. Absolutely. That's just a small part of it. If I had the words to do his legacy justice, I would. I really would. These last 100 minutes have been really good with all of you, and I do appreciate that. Man, cool saying crazy. It seems like yesterday we went to the CFP and the Cotton Bowl, and now that Fick is gone, it feels like it's all over. I don't want to think like that. Again, emotions are probably running high. I understand. But at the end of the day, this program is still an attractive job. What you hope is the first season with the new regime is not 4-8, is not 5-7. It's 8-4, 9-3. Get to the Alamo Bowl, maybe the Cheez-It Bowl, maybe the Liberty Bowl. Just stay on solid footing. Recruiting will come. This program is a college football playoff program that is not a program like Washington or Michigan State or any other school who went to the playoff and then did not do well the next season. This is a program that has been remarkably consistent over the last 5 years. 58 wins over the 50. Sorry, I'm blanking here. 53 wins over the last 5 seasons, an average of over 10 per season. Not a lot of teams can say that. That's what this program has done. So it's not all over yet. It's the start of something new. And I know that might be hard, for you to, wrap your head around right now. But at the end of the day, this is this is a really, really hard day for a lot of people. For me as a Bearcat, for my mom as a Bearcat, for my grandparents as Bearcats. I've lived my whole life as a Bearcat with Luke Fickell as head coach. And the next head coach I'm going to embrace. And and you should too. A lot of fans, I'm on Twitter, they're sad. They're not upset. They're not frustrated. I'm happy for Luke Fickell. It's going to be hard for him to move his family, I'm sure, from Cincinnati to Madison, Wisconsin. This is going to heavily impact recruiting. It's going to be very interesting to see who leaves in the transfer portal. Tony Hill saying go all in for Coach Prime. I'm with you there. The name himself is very, very good. I would consider him as a prime candidate. Literally. 584 subscribers. That is 8 now since this live room started. And if you weren't able to make it, this will be posted to my YouTube page, Locked On Bearcats. So very thankful for that. Let's try it again and maybe get a reporter on the line who covers the team. Let's try Keith Jenkins again. Maybe he can give us some insight. Keith Jenkins covers the Bearcats for the Cincinnati Enquirer. He's been their beat reporter for 3 years. Good friend of mine. Very knowledgeable, very trustworthy, a Cincinnatian. Leave your message for 5. All right, Keith Jenkins has said he will call us back, so we will keep him on the line. We'll get him on. And and you know what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring my former co-host Zach Freeze on the line. And Jordan saying, what are the odds we end up with another Tubbs-like era? Nerves are high. Don't worry about that. I'm just going to squash those worries right there. So I'm going to bring in my former co-host at Bearcats Media, Zach Freeze, former co-host of Sports Any Way You Want It. Get his thoughts. He covered the team with me for multiple years on our show, on broadcasts, press conferences, you name it. So just a sad day for a lot of people. And definitely, for and I don't mean it's just sad, period. It's a day of sadness, a day of appreciation, a day of reflection, a day of thankfulness, a day of a lot of things. Um, the greatest head coach of all time is leaving Cincinnati, and that's not something that is, you know, it's not something that, you know, um, bunch of mixed feelings for Fickell leaving, man. Cool, yeah. I mean, I can see that. My mom texted me that the Bengals just scored a touchdown, so the game is now tied at 10. Or at least I think it is. Uh, well, so who is still well? I hope Evan Prater does well in the bowl game. Yeah, that's critical. If Prater stays, you want him to do well in the bowl game because I think that quarterback competition between him and Dragish could be really good. And maybe you use multiple quarterbacks next year. Maybe use Prater for certain sub packages and then Dragish is your starter. Like the future of the quarterback room, I think could be pretty bright. Um, so really, really, again, just a tough day for a lot of people. I'm gonna see if I can get my friend Tyler Burning on. He was longtime colleague of mine. Bengals didn't score yet. They're in the red zone. Maybe I just thought they scored. Trying to inject some positivity on this day. Let's see if Tyler is on the line to get his thoughts on Luke Fickell. He's been a longtime friend of mine and longtime colleague of mine at Bearcats Media. Sun is starting to peek through here in Charleston. Hey, Tyler, you're on a YouTube live room with me. Wanted to get you on here, talk about Luke Fickell. I know that it's a tough day for you as a former UC Bearcat. Just kind of share your thoughts. Be careful what you say though, because we are on YouTube.
I mean, it's tough to see him go. He's a big reason why UC's where they are. It's going to take us a while to get. I think with him leaving, it's going to take us a while to probably reestablish ourselves. I mean, I know we have a great foundation with the players we have.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough to realize the situation that's going on. It's hard even for everybody that is a Bearcat. I mean, I was shocked that you go to Wisconsin of all places, but he had the opportunity to go and he went. I mean, you can't pass up a Big Ten school like that.
No.
No matter where you're going. I mean, the Big Ten, in my opinion, everybody says the SEC is the best conference. Even though the Big Ten had a down year this year, it is competitive from top to bottom, no matter
Absolutely.
what side you're on. I mean, in my opinion.
No question about it. So like, what head coach would you want to see be the next head coach of the Bearcats?
To be honest with you, I know I said in the group chat earlier about the guy from South Dakota State. I want a guy that's not well known. It's not he's an up-and-coming coach, but somebody that's under the radar look at, like you said earlier, with Cunningham when he decided to pick Wes Miller. Nobody thought of picking him. He was like way down on the list of coaches that we all expected to get hired. I mean, and even though it's taken him a while to get going, he's improved the program since John Brandon left.
Yeah.
And since Nick Cronin left. I mean, it's going to take time. I mean, look at Kansas with Josh Leipold. He's done a great job at Kansas. I mean, before he got there, they were so bad, they could barely win a game a year. Now they're winning. Now in the what has it been? He's been there 4 years, 3 years? I can't even keep track of how many years.
Yeah, I mean, they've been there a long time.
And he came from North Dakota State, right? I couldn't remember what program.
So Josh Leipold, who Tyler is referring to, by the way, the Bengals did score. They're tied at 10. Josh Leipold, spell his name right. Joshua, why am I not seeing him? Did I spell his name right?
Let me see.
Lance
Leipold,
that's why.
Lance Leipold. Wrong one. Oops.
This is his second season. And yeah, I mean
Wisconsin Whitewater. That's what it was.
Wisconsin and Whitewater. Yeah, he did coach there. Then he was a GA. I mean, he's been in the ranks for a long time. Coached at Buffalo. Coached at Kansas. So, yeah, I mean,
I'm saying we don't need to get somebody that is like, for instance, I said Will Muschamp is another one, which I think would be a good one because he's had experience in the bigger conferences. He understands what it takes to win.
Now, let me ask you this. I know you don't like him. Mm-hmm. But how would you feel about Urban Meyer?
To be honest with you, it wouldn't be a bad choice. And I'm saying that coming from a Michigan fan, which I was very proud of us being Ohio State.
Yes.
I really think it would. Everybody has harps on him a lot, but look what he's done in his time at every school he's been at.
You're right.
He put Florida on the map. When Ohio State was going through probably with the scandal they had, in the years he was there, even though he only won one national championship, look at every season he had. Every year they were competing to win a national championship.
You're right.
And look at if he came to Cincinnati, we're going to a Power 5 conference. He is probably one of the best recruiters around.
Absolutely.
I totally understand why that'd be a good option.
But Tyler, the character issues are a concern to me. Are they to you?
Yes, that was my next point. The only reason why I said that might be a little issue is his character. And do we want that in the program? I don't think we want that in the program. Look at what Fickell is. Before Fickell left, look at the culture. It's changed so much since he's gotten there. Before that, we were basically, right after Butch Jones left, we had Tupperville.
Yeah.
Our culture was so down that we had more fans go to the basketball games than we did the football games. And yeah, it's starting the basketball program started to get more fans back again. But when Fickell was there, everyone wanted to go to the football games. Everyone, students, alumni, boosters. I mean, it was the place. It was the thing to go in Cincinnati.
Sold out season tickets this past season.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Look, it really is a difficult day for a lot of people. Tyler, I know you, our friend Zach Freeze. I mean, obviously he and I co-hosted a lot of shows and did a lot of games. Okay, so here's what we are going to do. So we are almost 2 hours in. I'm gonna keep this up, but I gotta um I I'm gonna take a breather. You can too. I'll keep you on the line, Tyler, for 5 more minutes.
Okay.
And then we're gonna hopefully talk to Keith Jenkins. We're gonna talk to actually maybe what I'll do is I'll end the stream after 2 hours. We'll
Yeah.
come back with another live stream later tonight. Just to kind of like let things simmer.
Yeah.
I mean, again, thank you all for those who've been on here. I think 2 hours is good enough. Thank you all to those who've been on here. Thank you to Russ Heltman. Thank you to you, Tyler. Thank you to everybody who has made these last 3 hours therapeutic. I mean, Tyler, I mean, you and I have been friends for so long. You remember when I chose to go to Cincinnati? That was right when Luke Fickell was hired. 82 days after Luke Fickell was hired, I chose to attend the University of Cincinnati. And so for me, I mean, it feels like that's why it hits me hard.
I totally see why. I mean, us going to the same high school and then you going to UC. I mean, we had a bunch of friends that attended University of Cincinnati. We all remember. Even though I didn't go there for my first 2 years, I know how it feels to have a coach leave. I mean, when I was at NKU, we had John Brannon. I mean, look what he did for our basketball program. He changed it completely around. I mean, we won 2 Horizon League championships. We went to the NCAA tournament twice.
Thank you, Francis, for your comment.
What'd you say?
Francis saying, thanks for the reporting and discussion. This has been therapeutic for all fans. Go Cats. We'll be back tonight after dinner.
I would be happy to join.
Yes, I'll have multiple people join. These next, I mean, tomorrow's going to feel like this potentially because, it's the fallout. Tuesday, I think we're kind of just going to, I think Tuesday we kind of start the game of, okay, who's going to be the next head coach? Obviously, the Monday after a weekend of football, it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to, being a part of that.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, this is a massive, massive, massive news break for Cincinnati. Wisco Cheese saying Wisconsin is happy today. I don't blame them. They should be. You guys are, and here's the thing, Tyler. You're a Big Ten guy. Wisconsin's an easy program to root for. They do things the right way. Their fan base is awesome. Parker Dutcher saying, I'm a Badger fan and kind of shocked by this. I didn't see this hire coming. But I suppose first and goal on the 5 and 5 false starts in a row when you could tie a game will do that for you. He's referring to the Bearcats' possession at Arkansas that they got a fumble on the 3-yard line. That's I'm not going to talk much about that. Listen, Wisconsin's a great program. I personally like them. Their fan base is incredible. They've won some Big Ten championships. They've had some great players, including Danny Davis, local product from Springfield High School. Tyler, you remember him when he was in high school.
Yes, I remember Danny Davis.
So I'm really happy for Wisconsin today. I hope it's just not a stopover and then he goes to Ohio State. I don't know.
That's my opinion on that is I don't think he would do that, to be honest with you. I think
correct.
I think the pressure the 1 year he had at Ohio State was too much for him. Interesting, Tyler. I think even though Wisconsin's in the Big Ten and they have a tradition and all that, they're very known for all that, and they have a great fan base. I think that is if that was the best spot I could think of for him, I think it would have been in there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And here's the thing. He's not going to Michigan. He's not going to Michigan State.
No.
He's going to Wisconsin. Madison, the expectations are high, but they're not pressurizing like you just said, Tyler. And
Yes.
I think he's going to stay there for multiple years. I think he can win right away in the Big Ten West. I mean, that division's wide open every single year.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've come up on 2 hours. Ted Pollitt saying he will get guidance from Barry Alvarez. Great mentor to have. Thank you, everybody, for these 2 hours. We're going to sort of just take a break. We're going to de-stress. We're going to go watch the second half of the Bengals game. It's tied at 10. We're going to go eat dinner. I'm not sure where I'm going to have dinner here tonight in Charleston, but it's going to be good. After dinner tonight, we're going to do another live room, however long. All right. If I need to hold my bladder in for 5 hours, I will. I've done it before and I'll do it again. All right. So Tyler, thank you. Thank you to Russ. Thank you to all of you. Again, back later tonight with another live room. And just Tyler, thank you. And we'll be back later tonight.